I'm Cesar Perez. I graduated in 2016 from God's Bible School and College with a bachelor's degree in church and family ministry. And the whole point of me pursuing this degree was to end up in youth ministry, to hopefully end up in a youth pastor position somewhere, back home in Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, I just could not find a job after GBS, at least a job that paid. And the only doors that seemed to be opening up were in education, specifically public education. So I ended up finding myself working in a bilingual charter school for 6.5 years. And during that time, I got kind of frustrated because I thought to myself, God, you asked me to go to God's Bible School to pursue an education in youth ministry. And here I am stuck teaching second graders at a public school that won't even allow me to share the gospel with them. And it was really frustrating. It wasn't until 2016 where God gave me the opportunity to pursue my teacher certification. The school needed a teacher really bad, and they called me up and said, Cesar, we have this job. Would you be willing to take it? I said, yeah. So I had to sign up for classes, night classes, and my credits from GBS were able to transfer flawlessly into that program. And I studied taught during the day, and I studied teaching at night, and I taught for 2 years in that classroom, in that position. During those 2 years, God began to really give me a passion for ministering outside the church bubble, right? We go to Bible college, we go to church, and we create these little bubbles, right? And it's so hard for us to break out of them. But the public work, God putting me in the public school actually forced me out of that bubble. And I became very passionate about being a light to those who would never, ever go to church. Starting conversations to those who were hostile or at least not open to the idea of Christianity. After working as a teacher for 2 years at the public school, God gave me an opportunity to move to Idaho and work at a ministry called CERT, where I'm currently the director of. CERT stands for Christian Education Release Time, and at that ministry I'm able to teach Bible classes to public school students, that's incredible, right? It's a miracle in itself. And when I took that job, I remember it was 2 weeks after taking that job, it hit me. These experiences that I had, this frustration that I felt because I was working at a public school for 6.5 years and wasn't able to share my faith freely, was in preparation for this position. It took my education that I got from GBS and the practical application of the education that I had to use in the public schools, and it merged it perfectly together in one ministry. And looking back, I was like, well, God knew exactly what he was doing the whole entire time. And I'm just so blessed because now I get to impact lives and talk freely about the gospel to public school students. For instance, I have a kid named Connor who started taking my class, and he ended up telling me that he was a homosexual. And he wrote me a little note asking, is it possible for me to go to heaven? So he wanted to talk after school, and we did, and I told him, absolutely, it's possible for you to go to heaven. That don't listen to the world, because the world wants you to believe that you're nothing more than just your physical urges. You're much more than that. God has so much more than that for you. I told him that he needed to just have faith that what God wants to offer him will bring him more joy and more peace than any other human relationship. And I looked at him and said, what do you think about that? And he said, I'd like to give that a try. Stories like that, moments like that in my ministry, remind me of how God was in control the whole time. From the first day I stepped on campus, right? He knew about Connor and his need for salvation. He knew about Silas, an atheist boy that came to my ministry who did a 180 and became a Christian as well. He knew that I needed to get out of my bubble, so he sent me to a public school where I had to be a light in a difficult situation. And so if there's a GBS student who's struggling to think, what does God want me to do with my life? Just be submissive. Just let him have control. Study, be faithful, and he will guide you, and just trust in him because he has a plan. One day you'll look back and you'll see, yeah, he was in control the whole time.